We often look back at history through rose-tinted glasses, imagining knights in shining armor or elegant ladies in ball gowns. But the past held a much darker, grittier side. It was populated by professions that were, frankly, bizarre and deeply unpleasant. These were jobs that would make even the most hardened modern worker shudder. Our journey today explores 3 such ancient occupations. They highlight the truly grim realities faced by many people just trying to make a living. Let's start with a job that smells terrible, just thinking about it: the gong farmer. This profession was primarily found in medieval England. They were quite literally human waste disposal experts. Their primary duty was to clean out cesspits and privies. Yes, that means digging out accumulated human waste from holes in the ground. The task was, to put it mildly, incredibly unpleasant. They often worked in the dark, usually at night, to avoid bothering people with the smell. Conditions were cramped and dangerous. They were constantly dealing with raw sewage. This exposed them to significant health hazards. Disease was a constant threat in their line of work. It was considered an incredibly low-status job. The profession was often passed down through families, offering little social mobility. Gong farmers received little respect from society. Their lives were quite literally defined by the stench of their labor. They faced the constant threat of illness and infection. It was a profession few would willingly choose, yet it was essential for urban life. As unpleasant as it was, imagine that being your daily grind. Now for something completely different, but equally strange: the sin eater. This was a peculiar role involving the consumption of food and drink. This food and drink were offered over the body of a deceased person. The practice was prevalent in parts of Britain and Europe, particularly in more rural areas. The belief was that by consuming this soul food, the sin eater would absorb the sins of the deceased. The purpose was to allow the deceased soul to pass peacefully into the afterlife, unburdened. It was a deeply stigmatized role. Sin eaters were often outcasts, shunned by society. They were forced to live on the fringes, isolated from their communities. They were seen as unclean, burdened by the sins of others. Despite performing a service considered vital for the soul's salvation, they were often paid meagerly for their services. A few coins or scraps of food were common payment. Their very existence was a testament to the complex beliefs surrounding death and the afterlife. It reflected a desperate desire for spiritual cleansing, even if it meant offloading sins onto another person. It's a heavy burden to carry, literally and figuratively. Finally, we come to a chilling profession: the executioner. This job demanded a unique and unsettling blend of physical strength and skill. It also required a profound detachment from human life. Executioners were responsible for carrying out capital punishment. Their task involved various methods, depending on the crime and the era. Methods included beheading, hanging, or even burning at the stake. They were often feared and reviled by the public. Yet paradoxically, their skills were considered essential for maintaining social order. They were the final brutal arm of the law. Their lives were fraught with danger. They faced potential threats from the condemned themselves, who might resist. They also faced danger from the public, who often held them in contempt or outright hatred. Imagine the psychological toll of taking lives as your job. This was coupled with the constant threat of violence directed towards you. It was a profession that few could endure, requiring a specific, grim fortitude. Despite the fear they inspired, they were often necessary figures in societies that relied on public, brutal punishment. Their role highlights a stark difference in how justice and punishment were viewed compared to today. It certainly wasn't a job you'd put on a resume with pride. These 3 professions, the gong farmer, the sin eater, and the executioner, were vastly different in their specific duties. Yet, they share some common, undesirable threads. They were all low-status jobs. They were often dangerous, either physically or spiritually, and they offer a stark reminder of the harsh realities of the past. They highlight the often unpleasant tasks necessary for society to function, even in its most basic forms. These jobs serve as a potent reminder of the progress made over centuries. Progress in terms of sanitation and public health is obvious when you think of gong farmers. Progress in social acceptance and the value placed on human life is clear when considering sin-eaters and executioners. While modern jobs have their stresses, few involve wading through sewage, absorbing spiritual burdens, or ending lives. These bizarre ancient professions truly were jobs you'd never want. They give us a valuable, if slightly nauseating perspective on how far we've come.